If you've been scrolling through endless listings, weighing the promise of 48 terabytes of storage against the fear of a single drive failure, you're not alone. It's that moment when the spreadsheet of specs looks clean, but the real question is whether the box will actually keep your massive project safe without breaking the bank. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes I'm going to walk through exactly what the SanDisk Professional GRID mirror does for a creator who lives in a world of 4K video, multi-camera shoots, and terabytes of raw footage, and I'll also point out the moments when this monster of a drive might feel like overkill. Let's start with the problem most of us face. We have a primary workstation that runs out of internal space in a day, and the external solution we pick ends up being a single point of failure. The GRID mirror tackles that by coming with two enterprise-class 7200 revolutions per minute Ultrastar drives that are already paired in RAID 1. In plain English, whatever you write to the unit is instantly duplicated onto the second platter. That means if one of the disks decides to give out in the middle of a night-long edit, you still have an intact copy waiting for you. For anyone who can't afford to lose a single frame of a client's deliverable, that redundancy is the core value proposition. Now, how does the unit actually perform when you plug it into a typical post-production rig? The Thunderbolt 3 port is rated at 40 gigabits per second, which, on paper, should make the 260 megabytes per second read speed feel like a gentle stream rather than a bottleneck. In my own workflow, I'm moving 200 gigabytes of ProRes RAW from a 12-camera shoot onto the GRID, and the transfer completes in just under 17 minutes. That's fast enough that I can keep the tape deck or the card reader busy without waiting for the external drive to catch up. The secondary USB-C 10 gigabits per second port gives a solid fallback for machines that don't have Thunderbolt, and I've seen the same transfer speed stay within a few megabytes per second of the Thunderbolt result, which is impressive for a USB-C connection. What makes the GRID a little more than just two hard drives glued together is the ProBlade SSD slot. Think of it as a built-in cache. You can slot an M.2 SSD, and the unit will automatically use that fast storage for the most active files while the bulk of the data sits on the spinning platters. For a video editor who constantly jumps between a timeline and raw clips, that translates into noticeably snappier scrubbing and faster renders when the source files are cached. I tested this by moving a 30 GB project folder onto a 2 TB NVMe that I installed into the slot, and the time to open the project dropped from around 45 seconds to under 12 seconds. If you already have an external SSD for your current projects, the added slot gives you a way to keep the SSD handy without an extra enclosure. Who should consider buying this beast? First, anyone whose workflow is built around massive, uncompressed media cinematographers, visual effects artists, and high-end photographers who shoot raw sequences that easily reach 10 terabytes per project. Second, small production houses that need a portable archive-and solution. The RAID 1 redundancy means a single drive failure won't halt a client deadline. Third, professionals who already have a Thunderbolt-enabled workstation and can actually leverage the 40 gigabits per second pipe, otherwise you'll be paying for speed you can't use. Conversely, there are clear cases where the GRID is more than you need. Hobbyist vloggers who work mainly in 1080p and store footage on cloud drives will find 48 terabytes dramatically oversized, and the price tag reflects that scale. If your primary computer lacks Thunderbolt 3, you'll be stuck using the slower USB-C mode, which, while still respectable, doesn't justify the premium for many users. And for anyone who prefers solid-state reliability over mechanical redundancy, especially in environments with a lot of vibration or travel, the dual-drive RAID might feel less comforting than a pair of external SSDs, even if the SSDs cost more per terabyte. A practical strength that often gets lost in marketing copy is the color-coded cable system. When you're in a busy rack with multiple Thunderbolt and USB connections, the red and blue cables tell you instantly which port is delivering the full 40 gigabits per second bandwidth. I've made a mistake in the past by plugging a high-speed SSD into the wrong port and losing half the throughput. The grade's visual cue eliminates that kind of human error. Another upside is the built-in power supply. Because the unit draws power directly from the Thunderbolt connection, you don't need an extra brick cluttering your studio bench, which keeps the setup tidy and portable. On the flip side, the mechanical nature of the drives brings a couple of hidden trade-offs. The two 7200 revolutions per minute drives generate more heat than a comparable SSD array, so you'll notice the unit's surface warming after extended transfers. In a cramped, poorly ventilated editing suite that could shorten the lifespan of the drives if you don't give it breathing room. Also, the RAID controller inside.